Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is Mr.Squarrel, and we are playing some more Last Epoch, and I'm playing the Smite Pally. So, one of the things I was doing is, I was kind of like, part of learning, and people say, oh, you're cheating if you look up at guides, and all these different things, and part of learning is, so if we think about learning, right, it's kind of about what we do understand versus what we don't understand, right? And so right now I was thinking about like, hey, where are my gaps in knowledge, right? And I just picked this game up. I didn't really know much about it. I didn't know much about builds, and I was like, people said, oh, it's very casual friendly. So I was like, I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna see what I do and don't understand about the game and just play it, right? Like I think part of learning is we don't know what we don't know until we try it, right? And so that got me thinking, okay, I'm going to play, I'm going to just go with it, and, you know, I've been cruising through the early game playing a Smite build. I just looked briefly before I started playing, like, hey, want to play a Pally? I saw Smite Fissure, and I was like, okay, that tells me I'm going to go those two combos. Then I started thinking, what am I missing in this? So I watched Dreadful's video, I watched pieces of it, not like, it's a long guide that he was talking about the Pally, so I'm going to kind of run through thinking that I'm doing right now. So you'll notice before I had Rebuke beforehand. I still have it on the tree, but I don't have it anymore. Is I think I'm going a little too heavy into defenses, and I can speed up things, right? So what I noticed is that in the video they were talking about, he was showing Javelin, and I was like, he's using some kind of transportation skill. And so that got me thinking, why is there a transportation skill? And, you know, I'm a goober and I'm new to this, so I was like, why? So then I started going through the whole tree here, and I was like, where? And I literally was going node by node by node until I found this, Surprise Initiative. And that now it's a combo skill that I can press it and I can travel to where it lands. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And the next thing I noticed, right here, Divine Intervention. The battle standard now casts Smite at target nearby every 1.5 seconds. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So now my Smite is becoming even better. And what's crazier about this is that right here, whenever I cast Smite, I am now casting Healing Hands. And it's just like, whoa. So now I was thinking, oh my goodness, this is like super duper OP, right? Because now when I'm casting Smite, it's now doing all these like other things. So the other thing I want to explain, so when I watch a lot of guys, we're seeing people way high level, and I think, and nothing against any content creators, I think they do an absolutely amazing job. But you also have to think about zone of proximal development. And we've talked about this a couple times on the channel. And the thing that I want to highlight when we talk about zones is that so when I was watching Dreadful, if I had watched Dreadful before I even started playing, I would have been sitting there like, what the bleep am I watching right now? Because you're learning, like I have a scope of what I can learn when people talk, right? So I'm in the center of the circle, and if I move up or down, that's like below knowledge, above knowledge. So if I go up, this is knowledge that kind of pushes my thinking. So if like I'm playing a game on easy, I watch someone playing it on normal, I'm like, oh, I can totally do that. That's what we call zone of proximal development, because I'm watching how they play, and I can kind of understand my knowledge from easy to normal. Now let's say I'm on easy, and then I start watching someone who's playing like max difficulty, and to me, I'm going to watch them, and I'm going to be sitting there like, oh, I don't even understand what's happening, because my scope or the ability for me to understand what's happening is so behind what they already understand as basic knowledge that I can't actually comprehend what's happening, and therefore I can't actually learn from them. So I had to play a little bit before I watched Dreadful's video, and I was like, because I didn't know how these skill trees work. Now I understand that each skill has its own tree, yada yada yada. I understood that when he was doing something, when I watched him playing, I saw him not have a traversal skill, but he was traversing. So that led my brain to thinking, so there's gotta be, in these skill trees, one of these abilities, and it wasn't Smite because I was watching him play, and he wasn't because I know Smite, you can move with it, but he wasn't doing that. It wasn't Healing Hands, because I already looked through the skills, doesn't give you that. Well, actually, I think it does. There is one, I think, maybe, somewhere. I don't know. I don't want to miss information. This is right here. But this could be it. But when I looked at, but he wasn't doing that. I didn't see him doing that either. When you directly cast, when I was like watching his button presses. But then I watched when he was throwing this. He might be different, but one of the pieces I was like, that's so interesting. And I love Smite, and I like this Smite build, and I wanted to keep maximizing Smite. So then I was like, well, let's look at this Javelin thing, right? And then it made me think a lot about, okay, how can I keep maximizing this Smite thing? Now, the other thing that I started noticing that I caught my attention is right here. So add spell damage applies to 200% effectiveness. So remember, every time I cast Smite, I'm also casting Healing Hands, right? So then I was thinking, so spell damage is really, really important. And so that then got me thinking, I think it's here in my passive tree, right? So I don't need, where is this one right here? Scepter, I don't need this. It's right here. So Heaven's Bulwark. So this, every time I get here, I get more spell damage. See the thing? Not that will make Healing Hands do crazy more damage, right? So what's really interesting about this, so I was also, sorry, my brain was looking at that. And so now I'm thinking, okay, that I see like the new, like the early game kind of build up path I'm trying to go. I'm also thinking about, so I want Heaven's Bulwark, right? The other thing I've been kind of thinking about, sorry, I'm just also looking at this. I want to get this right here. Casts, I don't need that. Sorry, now I'm looking, this is far off though, I'm not here yet. This increased healing effectiveness would be really important for those Healing Hands. The one that I was also is this Conviction, because the thing that I'm also noticing, and I want to go back to the skill tree. Okay, so if we go to this, is that you can convert this into lightning damage, right? Now, the thing that's standing out to me is I don't. So I'm contemplating, is like, do I want to do that? And I don't know if that's the path I want to go, right? Because Fissure is fire, right? But maybe I do that because now I'm going to be doing both fire and electric damage, right? Because this is fire, but it increases chance to electrify, because then it made me think a lot. Like, I actually think I don't need this. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Still contemplating, right? You cast my button numerous when you directly cast, so I don't need that, right? Because I'm not directly casting that. But then it got me thinking, like, I'm wondering if I go here, right? Because then it makes this really, really, so more lightning damage, and then I can also bump up, but I want to do this and this. I don't know if I have enough space to get the electric tree yet. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm not trying to say the way I'm doing this is perfect, but rather just kind of explain my thought process behind this. So the other thing that I saw is that people were trying Shield Rush, but I noticed a lot of Void here, and I didn't see a lot of things that I was like actually wanting. So I was like, I don't know if I really want to go that tree. So that's something that I just wanted to kind of put out there. So when I'm looking at this, the next one I want is Symbol of Hope. I don't really know what my next... Oh, it'll be Holy Ore. I need this one too. I didn't even really think about that. Yeah, because I need it. Because when I do this is going to be an important tree. So I think right now I'm just trying to preface by saying, like, what am I actually looking at and why am I going said way? I'm going to continue doing this, like, leveling up series, but moving forward, the next thing I want to do, just so I'm kind of... So, my damage is still, like, super OP. I'm not... So, the next thing I want to do is actually put one more point into Atonement, and then I'm going to put 2 points here, and then one more point in Atonement, because I want to... This is such a huge damage buff, the Sacrifice debuff, buff to Smite, that it's almost like... you want to maximize this before you do anything else. And I want to do this so I don't kill myself, because I'm noticing as people are getting into late game, these things are getting a little bit more. I don't know if I actually need to include the critical strike chance, because there's so many paths to this, but this also feels crazy important, because this is like, once you max out, this is 100% increased damage of critical strikes. You'll be critical striking all over the place. I don't know. I do like this idea of blinding flash. You make it. My point is, I'm just trying to figure out what's the best way to maximize damage right now, and that's kind of where I'm at. This is just supposed to be a quick guide. Again, my point is I'm showing my process and my thinking. So I honestly think what I'm going to do now is I did this, and then because I really wanted on Smite, I get this 4 points. That means every time I cast, that it's casting that. I think I'm gonna keep this point here, and then I'm gonna go boom, 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 and I'm gonna get this to increase that lightning damage. I don't want to do this, but so I'm gonna do here, 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 and then I'm gonna get these. So I'm gonna literally just maximize this area right here. I think after that, I might go down here to increase this the radius of everything. Yeah, I think that's the way we're gonna go. We're not gonna make it a channel either. Okay, that's thinking for right now. You'll see another right before this or after this. I don't forget which area I'm gonna put this in. So also, last thing where I'm thinking at this given moment is I'm gonna keep maximizing the tally, because I need to get symbols of hope. That's because the other thing I was contemplating is, like, do I want to get this right here is increased damage you deal while you have a mace or scepter equipped. Mace increased damage, scepter increased damage. So you deal increased while you have a mace or scepter equipped. I mean, maybe we can go back here, but again, I want to get to 15 here. Excuse me. I'm also seeing this, so I'm going to go to 10 points here. Increase that spell damage, and then this is a good question. Like, where do I go after this, right? I am contemplating going back here to Conviction. I don't see as much as I like the idea of increased healing effectiveness. I mean, maybe here, increased healing effectiveness per point, because this is like necrotic resistance. That's a lot of very defensive stuff. Because I was watching people play, and as you get higher, things start hitting you a little bit harder, right? Yeah, so notice right here, you have increased critical strike chance and critical multiple. Like, this one's interesting, because what this does, if we think about it, it goes back and it kind of negates, if I'm going here, the whole point almost of these. So I'm wondering if I just go here and here, and then immediately bump this way, right? Applied by Smite has increased duration and additional lightning penetration. Smite has also lightning bolt to 3 enemies nearby. This seems really good. Lightning bolts created by Smite hit additional enemies. Yeah, man, there's a lot going on here. Okay, I need to still process kind of. I'd also need to figure out how many points I can put into this tree. I haven't figured that much out. But again, you're just seeing a very real, authentic kind of way of thinking through this. I'm doing this also so I don't burn through my mana. I might be wrong for doing that, and I can always respec out of that point later and come back. But yeah, we're gonna go this path. I'm gonna keep here is I'm prioritizing these things right here, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do next. This will still take a while, so I'm not too worried about that. This actually is already operated into what I wanted, but I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna bump this up. I'm gonna go boom boom, bump that up. Battle standard on cast Smite. I want to get 2. Well, I need to get 1 point, and then we're gonna do here is gonna go doom doom, and then doom, and I'm gonna get this, and then I'll come back to here and work on this, right? So that's kind of the thinking right now. Again, this is just a really quick impromptu guide, kind of talking through my thinking at this point for people like me, working dads that are just, you know, I can't maximize this game in 2 seconds, so I just want to explain my thought process. Tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm a doo-doo head. That's totally fine. I mean, hell, give me advice and say, like, yeah, you know, it would be better if you do this. I'm always open. I love, this is what learning is, guys. It is taking in feedback. And the true measure of intelligence is not how much you know, but how your ability to adapt to new information and move on and improve from it. So, as with this channel, remember, learning and failure is just your first attempt in learning. Have a great day.